Hello everyone, welcome to Life, Love and the Pursuit of Real Estate. I'm absolutely blessed to be doing an interview today with my good friend Rhonda McKenzie. Rhonda McKenzie runs a business called Planning for Life. Rhonda's history is very, very diverse, and especially for you women that aspire to be business people, business operators, successful, and even for you men, you want to listen to Rhonda's story now over the next sort of half an hour and really get an understanding and a depth of feeling how people turn adversity into success, and how some of the things that will break and weaken some people do the absolute opposite to others. And Rhonda is a prime example of that. Whether you're male or female is really irrelevant, but when you have a listen to what Rhonda's been through, what her mental attitude or fortitude was with it, where she is today, how she's kept all her family together, her history at home with her parents, and her history with her children, etc. She's got 3 daughters, right? I won't say what you said this morning, but they're three beautiful girls, yeah, right, and they're all adults now. And Rhonda is partners with one of them in her current business. I think what we might do is just tell people exactly what your business is today, and then we'll go back. Yep. So, Planning for Life? What is it, and when did it start?
Financial planning is the name, is the business.
Yeah.
And it started in 2008.
Right.
Planning for Life. 2006, sorry.
Yep.
Was Planning for Life started. We moved away from being part of a corporate financial planning one and put our own shingle out for business in 2006. And we're in Doncaster East. My daughter's my business partner now. Originally started off with a male partner who's since retired.
And the business is predominantly women?
No, it's not.
It's
surprisingly not. As far as clients go.
No, but as far as staff.
Oh, yes, predominantly women. We've got 2 female financial planners. That's Rachel and myself. And we have 1 male financial planner and a male graduate advisor. There's about 11 of us now.
Okay, 11. Okay, very good. All right, now, so on the score of that, I because I know you well, and for anyone that gets on Rhonda's website, you'll see Rhonda runs a really successful business. It's a really, really good business. And your business model that we spoke about this morning was you weren't looking for the elitist, but you were looking for that sort of that middle type person, middle class type person, for the want of a better term, and get them to the next stage of their retirement so they can eat, live, and do everything better.
But it's not just about retirement. It's about starting financial planning when it's easy to start financial planning. Because as I mentioned to you earlier, financial planning is about strategy. It's not about picking a product. So it's about the strategy that enables you to move forward. So whether we have someone that is a first home buyer, it's setting up their systems and the way of doing things that they're not going to face adversity later on. So with them, it's not just focusing on retirement, because they're going to say, well, what the hell, what are we planning for something 30 or 40 years ahead when we've got all of these things that need to be done beforehand? So we'll work on things about setting up funding for education, working on how they can get their first home, working on how they can get their investment property or an investment underway. So it's just trying to put them all in a better position so that if they've got the structure set up, it doesn't become hard, because it's just part of their normal life. So the younger we can get them, the better it is. We also obviously do the retirement planning bit, and the retirement planning bit can start from 45 or onwards, because they've got to start to think about, well, what is their life going to look like when it's beyond hitting, the alarm clock and getting up in the morning? What do they want to be when they grow up? What are the things that are going to excite them? And then we start to plan towards that. So there's a journey. And because of the way we do it, we are referred quite often to clients' kids. So we have 3 generations of clients where when they first start work, they have to come and see us, so that Rachel can get them on track to budgeting and working out what objectives they have in life that need financial planning consideration.
Okay. So what you've just discussed, now that I know your prior history, is now very much in line. So therefore, because of the adversity that you had early, has brought you to this point. So therefore, if we go away from that business now and we go back to the early days, right? So my understanding of it is that your mother left when you were young.
Yep.
Right. How many siblings were there?
There were 6 of us.
Right.
6 under 7.
And so how old were you when
9.
you... So, right. So you became the mother at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So then from that point of view, then you got married at what age?
19.
Right, 19. Okay. And then you were married for 20 years?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So then when your husband and you separated, just tell everybody what happened.
Yeah.
How much money did you have in the bank? Tell us that story that you told me this morning.
All right. Okay.
All right.
When Chris and I separated, I had $8,000 after 20 years of marriage and nowhere to live. And we'd always been in our own home. I'd never rented at all.
And 3 girls?
And 3 teenage girls. Yes, 3 teenage daughters. They were about 13, 14 and 15.
Right.
And so nowhere to live. So we were renting with the $8,000 first. With that $8,000, I invested $4,000. I couldn't afford it, but I thought I can't afford not to. So I invested $4,000. I bought a computer for my business, and I went to Bali for a week. So
you went for a cleansing, did you?
Yeah, I went for a cleansing.
Yeah.
So part of it was I didn't know who to trust anymore, and I knew I needed to be the controller in the family.
Was that an issue because of your separation? Does that trust break down real quick?
Yeah, I think I've always been a bit of the controller, but it was about not waiting for somebody else to be able to deliver everything that I wanted.
Right, okay.
Saying, well, this has happened now and this pattern is going to stop now in my life and in my daughter's life. We're changing everything. We're going to change the way we do things. And so that's when I started to study and do the Diploma of Financial Planning.
Right.
Because I thought, well, the finger's got to be pointing back at
So
me.
what age were you when you did that?
40.
Right, okay. So it's pretty late.
Yeah, I know.
So you had 3 teenage daughters.
Yes.
You're renting a house.
Yes.
You had $8,000 only.
Yes.
Right. And then you went and did your diploma.
Yes.
Wow.
I did that while I was studying at the same time as starting to build up a business, because in those days you didn't have to have everything straight up ahead. You just had to be studying and doing it.
Lead me to the next part of that then. So you started, and then you started working for this guy.
Yeah. Started working in an office where there were a lot of financial planners. So I was just one that had paid my way or paid my
so desk sharing, was it? Yeah,
kind of that. And so did that, and then actually I didn't like the way he ran the business, and so I thought, well, if something's going to happen once again, guess who it's up to?
Yeah,
it's up to me. And I thought, well, I can do this better, and I don't like the way things are done. So I decided, well, once again, point the finger back at myself and say, well, if you're not happy, then do something about it. So I started planning for life in 2006, and from then onwards it's just been looking better and better. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love the bit about being in front of clients.
Yeah, because you and I are both people. And I suppose to explain to the audience is that Rhonda and I met through Dr. Fred because we were in the same personal development group. So, and I mentioned Dr. Fred quite a bit. So the reality of that is that Rhonda and I have a cohesion in relation to some business ethos and philosophy that is related to our learnings from Fred. You'd agree with that?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. So we pay him homage in that area for sure. So after that, then I think one of the things that would be interesting is that if your mentality was setting up a business, right, is really based on your experiences, in my opinion, with your dad, your first husband, right? And Rhonda, I will say now, is very, very happily married, right, to the most congenial, lovely man I think I've ever met, right, Philip. So we pay you a bit of homage, Philip, if you're watching this, right? So it'd be interesting to because this interview is about adversity. Are you happy just to talk about the family environment when you were little and how that was, whether it was good or not good? Or
well, my mother left when I was 9. She took us with her first up, and then my father systematically got us all back, and we didn't see her again. Oh gosh, until I was in my late 20s, and that was my doing, where I wanted to find out where she was and why she left, how he could leave 6 kids. And the home front was not a good one. It was quite a violent home front, and being the eldest, I was the mother. I was the good girl. I didn't do anything wrong, but I took on the role of looking after my brothers and sisters. But
so what did that encompass?
Hiding them.
What, from your dad?
Yeah, hiding from my dad, talking to teachers at school and making sure that things were okay there, not telling dad everything that was going on with the kids. Okay. So it kind of involved being...
So you were sheltering them a bit?
Yeah. Well, that's what you do when you're the eldest, you protect. So, yes, it wasn't a very good environment at all. And I think part of the driving force behind me was that I didn't want the history to repeat itself, because I saw that happen with my brother, where he was almost like my father. And I thought, my family is not going to be like that.
Right. Because my experience with people in that area is a lot of them can turn to drugs, alcohol, bad lifestyle, whatever it might be. And a few people end up showing some greatness through their volition, which is where I think you are, and sort of rise above that. So what's, when you spoke about your siblings, and the three of them have passed on now?
Yeah, 3 out of the 6 have died. And it was alcoholism. My father was an alcoholic, stopped drinking late in life. So he was an alcoholic all through our growing up. And so, out of all of my siblings, actually, the 5 of them would be alcoholics. 3 of them have died, and all of them had alcohol-related illness, and they died at 49, 50 and 51. And my mother was an alcoholic too.
Okay. What an unbelievable learning curve.
Mm.
Yeah. So then so as far as that goes, if we venture forward to Planning for Life started in 2006, give or take, right? Okay. So talk about how that's set up. What did you do? How did you set it up? I know that you're in Doncaster East, but how many staff did you have? What was your ethos? What did you do?
Well, what we did originally, we wanted to make the place feel like it was someone coming home.
Right.
And we didn't get that quite right the first time. But we had my business partner, Peter, my daughter, Rachel, who said, I'm no longer going to be someone who is an administrative assistant. She said, if I'm going to be in this business, I want to be part of it.
Yep.
So she was a financial planner then. So there was 3 financial planners, and we had 3 support staff between us. And really things started to grow from there. But starting off, we were just sharing costs. And then eventually we decided we needed to be a proper corporate business, and Peter couldn't run his business separately. So he came in, and then we were full partners. He was a very good business partner, but he then was focusing more on retirement. So wasn't looking at growing the business. He wanted a nice, smooth, even lead into retirement. Fabulous guy. But when he decided to retire, that was the opening for Rachel and I then to develop what felt like ours. So we stripped out the place, and we made it feel like when you walk up the stairs, you just feel like you know everyone, that you're at home. We don't have a walled off reception. We have a waist height bench there that people can see everybody in the office, so they know they can say hi straight away. Okay. And that was what we wanted to do, was make sure when you walked in, you felt safe.
What about your mix of clients, male to female ratio?
All over the place.
Right.
We've got quite a lot of couples leading into retirement, so obviously male and female balance, but quite a few now females that are separated or divorced or feel as though they're hopeless, that it's just they can't get anywhere.
Right.
They can't win, they can't see their way out of anything. And that's a particular love of mine when I see that, because that I relate to it. You
relate to it.
Yeah.
Because you also, too, from a real estate perspective, without mentioning names, you handle a lot of good, top real estate agents too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You find them good to deal with?
No. No, actually, the female ones are a delight.
Right. Yep.
The male ones are not quite so good, because the ego gets in the way a little bit.
Okay.
When the females, I'm finding even with female clients, if they're single female clients, they are so anxious to learn, so anxious to see what they can do that's better, and they take advice.
Right. Okay.
And so, yeah.
I must admit, I found that in real estate too. With when I had salespeople, a lot of the women were very, very open to tuition and education and all that sort of thing. So the men, not so much, I must admit, in my experience anyway.
And that's probably the reason why when we have clients come in and they're part of a couple, we not insist, but we strongly recommend that the female is there or the male's there, because it provides a balance. The female has a gut instinct that is incredible. I mean, incredible. And you try and do something. If your wife said, I don't like that person, I don't think I'm right with that person, I dare any guy to go ahead.
Well, I take Karen's counsel on that too, which I do a lot, as you know.
So it's really important to have both involved, because one might be more technically inclined or, figures inclined, whereas quite often the female's one that'll sit back and they'll just say, yep, I trust her, or no way.
So as far as that goes, the business is running really well now?
Yes.
Right, okay. So, and then because of the type of style of client that you've been servicing and looking for, I think it's a really good niche market, especially because of your history. Actually, let me ask you this. How many of your clients know your previous history?
I would probably say maybe 20.
20%?
20 clients.
Oh, 20 clients. Oh, okay.
Only a small percentage.
Right.
I don't share it all because I don't want the woe is me bit, but I only share it with ones that I think it can be motivational for them to know that what their position isn't hopeless.
Right.
And that if I can get out of where I was, then there's hope for them, as long as they make decisions and they don't just sit on their hands.
Because you seem to me to be, aside from our friendship, the quote that always sticks in my head with you is necessity is the mother of skill. You just got off your ass and went, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Yeah. So let's talk about, and I think this would be interesting, especially for a lot of women that have been separated, about when you separated and you went into the rental place. And let's just talk about that for a minute. You happy to do that? Or
Yes.
Okay.
We were renting a house and I was behind on the rent and they were going to kick us out. And by the way, I never rented before.
Yeah.
So this was really new territory for me. I was behind on the rent and they were just about to kick me out, and I said to my daughter Rachel and her best friend Katrina, I said, go and find us a house because we're going to move. I wanted to move before getting kicked out. So they found us a house, and when we were moving, I said to my 3 daughters, I said, pack for 1 year. Whatever you need for the next 12 months, take with us. The rest of it, pack up, and we're putting it in the shed at the back for storage, because in 1 year's time we're moving back into our own home. And so Rachel and Katrina found us a house. I didn't even see it until I signed the lease documents. And 1 year, almost to the date, we moved into a home in Elephant. Right.
Okay. So that's a big call. In 1 year you did that. So how did that happen? What did you do? How much did you save? What went on? How many hours a day were you working? Tell us that sort of stuff.
I worked whatever needed. So, there were days that I'd work 12 hours, and that was back in the day when you actually did home visits.
Right.
So, I had one person that worked a little bit for me, part-time for me, 1 day a week, and everything else I had to do myself. So booking appointments, and I would book them over in Sunshine, and I would be over in Wheelers Hill the next, and I'd be in Dandenong or Frankston. It didn't matter. I did what it took. So you needed to just do what it took. I was fortunate. I got 10 people that weren't being looked after that I was asked to look after. And out of those 10, there's 5 of them that are still clients of mine.
So you got those 10 referred to you from your first boss?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And you've kept half of them over all this time?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good natural attrition.
I couldn't contact.
Yeah.
But that's really good.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And they're good advocates because I deal with their families now, and it's good. There's an ongoing relationship that's beyond financial planning.
So if I said to you, now that people have listened to this and you've gone through, the violent father thing, you've gone through the separation, what are the 3 attributes you have that allow you to sit here now that you think have saved you?
Resilience.
Right.
An absolute desire to be in a better place and to change history.
Yep. Good.
I don't know what the third one would be, because I think those 2 are just so strong.
You seem to have a lot of clarity for me, though.
Yeah, clarity. Absolute clarity. I'm a goal setter. Give me a sheet of paper and I can have the page filled before someone else has written down one.
Yes.
So I'm a goal setter.
Well, I've seen you actually do that a lot. So just from that perspective. So if we can talk about that for a minute. Talk about goal settings and core beliefs and values. So I talk about that a lot. I find that's the one thing that people have the hardest run with.
Yeah.
But imagine this. Imagine if you're a single parent with 3 teenage daughters going into your first rented accommodation by yourself, not able to pay the rent, and then setting goals.
Yeah.
Some people will go, oh, how the hell does that work? Because it's tumultuous. You've got all that stuff happening, but then you've got to be focused, because sometimes what happens is, and this is what I've found a lot, is people are worrying about the now so much that what happens is that in a year's time they would have worried, they think, oh shit, I should have done it a year ago, I should have started this. But you're always, you know what I mean? You always look back and go, blah. So on that, and I've been very self-critical of some of the things that I didn't do a year ago that now I'm starting to do that are working pretty well. I think, what did I do a year ago when I actually thought about it? So from that, you really worked on the basis of like what necessitated you to act, made you act.
Well, the alternative wasn't an option.
Right.
The alternative was that I was going to repeat history.
That's clarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the alternative was not an option. And
okay.
I had 3 daughters that probably made my life a little bit difficult during that time. But I had 3 teenage daughters and I didn't want them to grow up in the same environment.
What were their ages when you separated?
About 13, 14, 15.
Okay.
Daughters.
Yeah.
Okay.
God bless you.
I think I've always been a goal setter.
Yeah.
And I've always set goals and I get really annoyed if I don't achieve them.
All right. So with your goals, do you know, in our groups, we talk about, business, financial and personal goals, 1, 3 and 5. We do all that. And I've spoken about that on this channel quite a bit. What do you do with them? Like, do you, now that you've got the partner from heaven and you in love and all that, so how long have you been with Philip now?
17 years.
Yeah, fantastic. So, and it not being funny, because I know you, it's like you two are still dating, which is actually really lovely. Yeah. So, do you do your goals together, you and Philip?
We have some that we do together.
Right.
He's not as focused on goals as I am.
Oh, he's a different stage than you then too.
He also was in a corporate where he was an executive with Toyota. So he had his business things and he was very good at his business things, but I'm the driver of the personal things.
One of the things that's become pertinent at my age now, right, and it's probably more so in the last 6 months, is that as we accumulate wealth and we become more successful, we tend to attract the dark side, the shadow, and all that sort of stuff. So what happens with that? Like, are you finding that now that your business is getting better and better and better, that you've got other things that come and encompass you that are taking you away from that? Have you struggled with that at all?
A bit, but then there's some things that I do to ground as well. Well, because I don't want to forget where I came from, because that's my strength too. I don't want to forget that, but I also want to make sure that there's a grounding, and that's probably why I have a cabin, caravan park up in Moama, so that there's still a time to go back and just be grounded and not get too carried away with things.
Right.
Because I can do the things I want to do now, and I love travel, so does Philip. But every now and then there's the time where you just have to take a few moments and say, hey, this is all pretty good. All
right, so let's talk about the travel thing, right? You do quite a bit of philanthropic work, right? So Rhonda was involved at very core level at an orphanage in Siem Reap in Cambodia, right? Can you just run us through, just very briefly, how that started, what you've done with it, and now how you've basically moved on to another level of that where you're doing it for the same children but at an older stage? Run us through that.
There were children at a children's centre, and they used to be called orphanages, but really the kids there some are orphans, but some are what we would call at-risk children. For example, like there were 4 young boys that lived underneath their parents' house in squalor, naked. They had to forage for their own food. They just did not have anything, and they were left like that. So those were children that were at risk. There were children, a little girl on the streets. So you take those and you put them in a place where they get some nurturing and education. So
you actually take them away from the parents?
Yeah, they did it at that time. A lot of them have now been repatriated, and there's the philosophy now that you can still support children in their home if they're in a loving home.
Right.
But if they're at risk, then we can't leave them like that. So we didn't do the physical moving children around or anything like that. But when we were involved initially in a fundraising capacity. But now it's got to the stage where that centre is well financed. It's well looked after. We don't need to do anything more there. But we're looking forward. We're now towards helping the kids as they leave that centre. So once they become young adults, 18-year-olds, etc., they'll move out and they don't know what to do because they've never been out by themselves. And because of Cambodia's history, they don't have a lot of mentors.
Right.
So our little group called Next Step is where we've known these children since they were little tackers. So they know us and they love us and they trust us. So we then look at them and say, well, what's next for you? What can you do next? So whether you go to university, whether you go to high school, whether you get a barbering apprenticeship, it doesn't matter, but we'll help you with that next step of education. So we focus on the gift of education. So we've got a couple in university at the moment. We've got some finishing high school, so there's probably about 4 or 5 finishing high school. We've just been successful in getting a barber apprenticeship for one of the more vulnerable children. So we bought him the chair and the implements to start his career there. And we've got another few children that are also not academically inclined that we'll be working with them to get them.
So how many children at the moment are encompassed in Next Step?
It's about 18.
Okay, that's great.
It's about 18, but we also have another program where we're out in a school in the rural area where it's a disadvantaged school, a very poor area, where we're helping them with English classes because we think if the kids can learn English, they've got opportunities. If they don't learn English,
So how are you teaching them English? Who's doing that?
So
what goes on with that?
We've got a young man in Cambodia, Vanta, and he's our contact.
I met Vanta, your place.
He's our contact with Cambodia. He's now set up like a group, almost like a mini Rotary group, but without the name, and they're called Hope and Smile. It's a group of 5 or 6 30-ish year olds that have gone to university with him, and they're all in the education field. So they're our people on the ground. So one of them at the moment, Bot, is mentoring some look who's the barber, who's going to be the barber. We've got him connected, so it's not just these do-good Westerners that come in there and tell them what to do.
So when you go there, how long are you there for?
We go twice a year. We're there anywhere from 1 week to 3 weeks. And when we're there, we have, one of the things we do always is have family dinner. So family dinner is usually about up to 30 people.
Beautiful.
And we get them all together and they've got to get up and say what they're doing now, what their aspirations are. And they're coming together as a family because some of these do not have anybody else. It sort of has morphed into a little bit more where we're helping another guy who used to work at the Children's Centre. His family are incredibly poor. And yet he still helps us as much as he can with what we're doing.
That tends to be the way, though, in a lot of cases. Yeah. That's great. That's great. And I think one of the things that I've always admired about you is how many strings to the bow that you've got, right? So from that point of view, I know that it's only you and Philip at home, but you've got grandchildren now. How many grandkids have you got? 8. Wow. Because I saw some of the photos that Karen showed me at Christmas time, and it was like daunting how many kids were running around and all that sort of stuff. So you managed to do all that in a period of, say, a 24-hour period. You're a grandmother, a mother, a business operator, business owner.
Rotary.
Yes, you're in Rotary too, local Rotary here, right? And you run basically the Next Step program. Yeah. So, okay, so who runs that with you? Is Philip help you with that?
Philip, Rachel, and Vanta in Cambodia.
Right, so they're the 4 of you.
Person. We've got there's a little bit of extra contact with a British lady and 2 Italians that more help us when we're there. So they'll do things if we need them. One will do some graphic work if we need graphic work done. The other one, Alessandro, will take the kids to go and buy their bicycle because once they leave the centre, the first thing we do is give them a bicycle and a helmet. Right. They've got to be able to get around, and we'll pay their first month's rent on a room, but they'll share a room, and we'll then, and then we'll pay their education.
So the money, you fund the money directly. So there's the conduit's straight. It goes straight to them directly. So what you give is what they get.
Yes.
Beautiful.
but we don't give them free money either. So we still teach them a responsibility. So if you've lost your runners, tough. Our gift to you is education. If you've lost your runners, then you make sure at the next pay you buy yourself a pair of runners.
All right. I think as far as what I want to do now is I want to wrap up, John, right? And I want to say, hey, thanks very much, Rhonda. I think one of the things here is that in our lives, everyone suffers adversity, and it's how we cope with it. And you're just, without sort of going over the top, Rhonda, I admire and love you for many reasons. But once I heard that story some 6 months ago, and I've known you for a while, and then I heard the story about your father and then the separation, I just sat back, and I don't sit back quietly very often, as you know, right? I sat back and I just had my mouth open thinking, wow, I think we have to have a talk to Rhonda, because so many people can get a lot out of this. If you want some guidance and you want to start early, which is what Rhonda's suggesting greatly, I certainly suggest that you get onto her website and have a look. Her daughter's name is Rachel Martin, that works with Rhonda. So that would be an interesting mix, because she's pretty strong in personality too, right? But she's an absolute great human being and a beautiful girl. So, but I think Rhonda's got a very, very diverse range of strengths here. And one of them is that from all the adversity that she had, she was never ever clouded by doing the right thing by somebody else. And that's just truly an innate gift. So thank you very much for your time. I love you. Right, and hopefully everyone gets a lot out of it like I have. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. Stay great.